Hey, welcome here to a brand new episode. I'm your host, Dr. Faith Elizabeth Nanyonga. If you're listening in today, I'd like to take this minute to thank you for each and every time that you tune in to listen to me as I teach about career development and personal development. Your support is invaluable to me, and I don't take it for granted. If it's your first time here, welcome to the Frame Solution podcast. And if you'd like to be a fan, there are 3 ways you can support this show and spread the love. Every single share, subscribe count matters, so do not think your efforts go unnoticed. The first way you could support this show is by leaving a review in Apple Podcasts. Reviews not only make the world a better place for me, as the podcast gets to many ears, but also rank our podcast higher in the podcast charts. You can subscribe to this podcast so that you do not miss out any episode as they are released. And also, you could choose to be a guest on the podcast by sending in an email. The email address is theframesolutions@gmail.com. Thank you once again. Today I'm going to talk about how to plan your career even if your current workplace does not support your career development, or like there are no clear career development paths that you can take at your workplace. So today I'm going to talk about some of the things that you can do to advance your career or plan your career path even if your current workplace or your environment or the current situation that everyone is going through does not give you the opportunity to advance your career. So without further ado, let me get right into it. So the first thing I want to start with is that I always tell the people that I coach that if you want to advance your career, you have to exactly know what you want. It's like how a person builds a house. You know that you'll have 10 bedrooms, you'll have a living room, you'll have a kitchen, you'll have a toilet. Like you put a plan on how you're going to do what you're going to do or plan what you're going to do. So by this I mean, like if you want to advance your career, at least sit down and think about your current state. Figure out where you are in your career journey. Are you starting your career journey? Are you a mid-career? Are you an advanced career person? Are you a graduate from university? Are you looking at changing your current career path? Just sit down and figure out where you are by assessing your skills, your experiences, your strength, your weakness, the opportunities that you have, or the things that don't come easily to you. For example, I'll give myself as an example. So in 2011, I graduated my undergraduate. And when I graduated my undergraduate, I knew I wanted to do research, medical research. And despite me applying for jobs I think it was over 1 year, I didn't get the jobs because I was freshly new out of school. I didn't have the working experience that was needed to get those jobs. And what I did is I ended up looking for loopholes around me. By loopholes, I mean I looked for internship places that I could do internship. I looked for volunteering experience opportunities around me. And while everyone else was thinking like, oh, Faye, it's hard for you, it's going to be hard, or you don't have a job, you've graduated, you're looking for a job, and the jobs you're looking for, people already have the jobs that I was looking for at that point. So what happened is that I sat down and evaluated my current situation. Then I didn't have a job. I'm a fresh graduate. What do I need? The only one can build experience, if you're a medical person like me, is by finding places that can teach you those skills that you want to acquire. So I ended up volunteering 8 places in Uganda, and 8 places in 8 months. That's a long period of time because most people would only take people to volunteer like 1 month or so. So I volunteered during that time, and through the volunteering experience, I was able to make the connections that I would need to help me get the job that I finally got. So if you're in this scenario, everyone has been hit by this current pandemic. Everyone around the world has been hit by the pandemic. So sit down and evaluate what opportunities has it brought in your life. Probably it's connected you to people online. Probably it's helped you change the way you work by learning how to adopt new technologies like Zoom. It has expanded your knowledge in terms of how information is passed around. So figure out your current state and evaluate it in such a way that you know where you're at and what your strengths are. So after you've done that, next thing that I would advise anyone to plan their career journey is that exploit that career path that you want by looking at the current jobs that are in the market, looking at the current opportunities, even if the opportunities are already taken. But if you read about them, and you might find like your current job or your ideal job might need this kind of experience. So I don't like giving abstract, but let me give another example. I was coaching one of my clients recently, and she's thinking about changing career, and she's thinking, okay, I've done procurement, and while I've done procurement a bit, so she's done procurement and she's thinking of how to get further in her procurement journey. She's well established, she's working as an expatriate in another country, but she feels that her job is not fulfilling. She's seeing like, I might want to work for this organization, but I feel like my skills are not being put to use. So I told her, sit down and evaluate your current situation. Find the pros and cons of your current situation. Figure out your current job is procurement. You like it, you like the profession, but you don't feel like your current position is fulfilling. You feel like you're in a toxic environment. So write down the pros and cons of your current environment. I'm yet to hear from her, but by the time we finished the call, she felt like she had some clarity on what she would do. So it's always good to dig deep into you and try to evaluate your strength, your weakness, your current position. If it's an ideal job, how does that ideal job look? Evaluate your current job. How do they look like? What opportunities are there right now that you could tap in? Or what connections would you tap in of those people who already have that position that you're after? If you have a good manager, they'll be willing to support you. But if they're not willing to support you, you can devise ways of getting along that path. I'll give myself as an example again. When I was looking for my master's scholarship, I had this manager that was supervising me, and I would send him my applications, and I'm like, okay, I want to apply for this master's at University of Westminster. I'm applying for this master's scholarship at the University of Manchester. And this guy never sent any of my recommendations. But him not sending my recommendations didn't deter me from applying for the scholarships. I looked for someone else who wasn't my immediate boss, but I was working closely with them. And I reached out to this gentleman, and I'm like, you know what? I'm applying for this scholarship. Could you recommend me? Because I work with you, you know my work ethics, you know what I'm good at. You can give like a good word for me. He's like, okay, write your applications. So I wrote my applications and submitted them. And I ended up getting the scholarship that I was after. Had I sat down and just thought about, okay, my immediate boss is not supporting my career development path, let me just see it, I wouldn't have achieved the master scholarship that I got. You either talk to your current manager and tell them about your aspirations and your goals. If they are human enough and if they are in support of your career path, they'll be able to guide you, they'll be able to help you, and also advocate for you when it comes to looking for those promotions, those scholarships, and all things that you might need to advance your career. The third thing I would like to talk about is about establishing your network. I've talked about this over and over again. I'm a person who believes in connection with people. Your connections, you might not speak to them every day, but those are the people that you have in your immediate circle that will recommend you, that will advocate for you, that will position you in such a way that you don't need to talk about yourself. They are there to back your word. So by doing that, many of us have been privileged enough to have social media. People have LinkedIn, people have Clubhouse, people have Instagram, people can even have a blog. Like you can decide to create yourself a blog. So if you establish your connections, don't just go out there and reach out to everyone. Like if you're on LinkedIn, I believe my LinkedIn is my professional stand. So for my LinkedIn, I establish a strategy on how I reach out to people that I would like to get in contact with, people I would like to collaborate with. I tell them exactly about myself. Like if you're sending someone a LinkedIn request, don't just send them an invite to join your network. Create a strategy. The strategy might be you phone this person who is, let's say, a human resource manager, and you're interested in becoming a human resource manager yourself. Write to them and tell them about yourself, or find something in common that you might have and tell them like, oh, hi, my name is Faith. I saw your profile. I like the kind of work you do. Would you mind connecting with me? And I'm doing this and this and this. So you tell them about yourself. You don't just wake up and send people LinkedIn requests. I always get those LinkedIn requests whereby a person does not have a profile picture. They don't even have a headline of what they do. I don't know. Why do you want to join my LinkedIn if you can't even tell me what your passions are? What are you after? LinkedIn is not a profile for friends and family. It's a professional platform. And if you want to use it professionally, reach out to those people that you aspire to be like. Reach out to those people that motivate you. Write to them. Like, sculpt your LinkedIn to fit exactly what you're after. The other thing, after you build your connections, these connections are going to help you in such a way that are going to recommend you. You're going to be around like-minded people who will also motivate you to get what you want to do. They will also teach you probably the things they need. Like, you build their connections by nurturing your connections that you have built. And after you've done your LinkedIn and established your network, create yourself a personal brand. A personal brand might be you write about your field of expertise, or might be you start a blog. You can always open up a WordPress blog. Let's say savvyvirologist at wordpress.com. If you have some money, you can even personalize it and you say savvyvirologist.com. Then you write about things in your field, you write about things that fascinate you, and link it also on your LinkedIn profile. Because if you do, if someone lands on your LinkedIn profile, they'll click on that link and it will lead them to something about you. Also, you could use Instagram, you could use TikTok. Some people are viral on TikTok, like they talk about science, like there's so much social media outlets that you could use to your own advantage as a career development enthusiast. So the last thing I would like to say is that when you're planning your career path, you're going to find a lot of no's. People are going to discourage you. You're going to have people who tell you won't achieve it. You're going to have people who are going to tell you how hard it is to get where you want to go. And you're also going to have those jealousy people who will be like, you're so ambitious. I had one of the guys I used to work with, and I told him I want to do a master's, I want to do a PhD, then I want to work abroad and be an expatriate. The guy was like, Faith, you're being so ambitious. But I didn't let his words deter me from pursuing what I wanted. And at this point of my life, I feel like I've achieved at least the things I set out myself to do. From 2011, when I sat down and I was like, you know what, by 2019, I'll have to have got my PhD. Well, I didn't get it in 2019 because I got it in 2020. But I planned out and I'm like, this is what I'll do. I'll do a master's degree that will lead me to a PhD. And after a PhD, I'll work for an organization that does this kind of work. I had like a strategic plan that I set out for myself. I don't say this to brag or anything, but I'm trying to tell you is that when you sit down and evaluate your current state and also devise those steps that you can take to get where you want to go, you'll find that the journey is smoother than if you just wake up every day and tackle each day as it comes. Having a plan is very good and it's important, and I preach it. And with making a plan is that your mindset will evolve. You might take a detour, you might pivot, you might turn, you might find potholes. But if you have a plan to get from point A to point Z, you're going to get there with the right strategy. Some people have said that, I find it so hard to advance my career because my bosses are not supporting me. I don't have the people that I need. I'm telling you, with the internet nowadays, you can find whatever you need. You can even have someone become your mentor, even if you don't know them personally. You might find that their work is fascinating to you. You might find that the things they do are in line with what you want to do, and you might read about them and you find them. There are podcasts nowadays where information is relayed, and any information that you would need, you can find a podcast about it. So do not confine yourself in a comfort zone where you think, because my manager is not helping me advance my career, I'll just sit here and wait for the next manager who will come along and help me. I hope you've learned something from this episode. And if you have, please rate and review wherever you listen to your podcast. Subscribe to this podcast. Share it with your family, friends, and those that you think are interested in career development. Also, follow me on the socials, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. The username is The Frame Solutions. I can't wait to speak to you in the next episode. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.